Chapter 2. Shenmuzhou didn't know why he went back 100 years ago. Back to when everything hadn't started yet, or was about to start. Nothing else matters. What matters is that that person is still there. That's fine, that's fine. Su Yunyan felt that Shenmuzhou was a little strange, but he couldn't explain why. Yun Mian, your cultivation level. When she was imprisoned in Sigua Cliff, she was already at the 9th level of Qi training. She was almost at the level of Dzogchen and able to build the foundation. But now it seems that she is only at the 6th level of Qi training. The disciple's foundation is unstable and 2 levels are wasted. Su Yunyan said calmly, as if he didn't care about the 2 levels of cultivation that were wasted. Shenmuzhou was stunned, but felt a little distressed in his heart. Regarding his persistence in cultivation, he dared to say that Su Yunyan definitely valued Su Yunyan more than his own life. She is only a 3rd grade light spiritual root. Although she is considered very good compared to most disciples, when compared with the direct disciples who are also the masters of the first peak, Su Yunyan's qualifications are really not on the table. Moreover, Su Yunyan was not only not qualified enough, but also had low understanding. It took her a whole year just to draw qi into her body, which was longer than many disciples who were less qualified than her. The only thing that makes people sigh is her character. If talent is not enough, hard work can make up for it. This sentence is vividly reflected in her body. When other disciples are lustful and lustful, she is in retreat. When other disciples are in retreat, she has begun to take on various training tasks without stopping. It is precisely because of this that she is able to stand out among the many direct disciples of 1st grade spiritual roots and even immortal grade spiritual roots. She even reached the 9th level of Qi training earlier than several disciples. The reason why she was sent to Sigua Cliff was because during the training, Taoist priest Qinghe's direct disciple Lin Linger fell in love with the target of her mission, a 1st level spirit rabbit. After being injured by her, she went back and complained to Taoist priest Qinghe in tears. Qinghe, who always protected his shortcomings, came to him again, so he only believed the 2 people's words and imprisoned Su Yunyan in Sigua Cliff. Thinking about it now, based on his understanding of Su Yunyan would never attack his fellow disciples easily. Lin Linge must have touched her bottom line before she took action. It's a pity that so many people wanted to defend her at that time, but he didn't listen and acted according to his own temper. I have never thought about the consequences of imprisoning a 14-year-old girl in a place like Sigua Cliff. I just don't know that it's not too late to remedy the situation now. I have a good spirit replenishing pill here, which is a great tonic for cultivators. There is also this spirit rejuvenating pill, which is very useful when your spiritual power is exhausted, especially when you are fighting with others. It can give you a glimmer of hope. This vitality pill, no matter how serious the injury is, just taking one can make you better. There is also this rejuvenation pill, which is very effective when you take one when you are injured. By the way, this rejuvenation powder is used for trauma, and the healing effect is very good. Su Yunyan just looked at him and took out the things in his storage bag one by one, as if he was eager to hand over all his wealth to her. Shenmuzhou naturally talked to himself for a while, but Su Yunyan didn't answer. He raised his head and noticed her slightly cold gaze. I felt a little disappointed, but I still managed to raise the corners of my lips and put on a gentle smile. Yunyan, don't these agree with you? Just take it first, and wait until Master finds a better elixir before giving it to you. Master will definitely make up for your lost cultivation. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. He turned his head and met Su Yunyan's eyes. I was speechless for a moment and didn't know what to say. I could only mutter, I really can't remember it. Please let me think about it again. Although cultivators have the ability to have a photographic memory, time is too long. If every minute and every second is as clear as what happened just now, I am afraid that a saint will go crazy. Many unimportant things will be stored deep in their memory like archives, and they are not afraid of being lost. They only need to recall them slowly when they need to use them. In the last life, when Shinmuzhou was reborn, the Qingke sect had been wiped out for nearly 80 years. He would not remember where the elixir was hidden in his former residence. Master was seriously injured. Su Yunyan, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke, startling Shinmuzhou. For some reason, he felt like a child who had done something wrong and was caught by his elders. No, no, no. He denied subconsciously, as if he didn't want Su Yunyan to feel that he was useless, but his dilapidated body betrayed him without hesitation. After saying this, his throat felt itchy, and a violent cough broke out. Cough, 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 cough. Shinmuzhou covered his mouth with his hands, but bright red blood remained along his fingers. Yunyan, can you leave first? He asked as if discussing. Su Yunyan raised her eyebrows, and her face finally no longer had the facial expression. With her movement, her face also became a little lively. Although her facial features are exquisite when taken apart, every part is perfect, but when put together, they only appear coordinated, which can be called delicate at best. Most of the time, Su Yunyan's face is the kind of face that is forgotten by passers-by. But for some reason, when she raised her eyebrows, Shinmuzhou actually saw a sinister feeling, and his heartbeat skipped 2 beats. Su Yunyan finally saw something was wrong with Shinmuzhou. 6 months ago, Shinmuzhou had an overbearing arrogance. Because he didn't like her, his direct disciple, and thought she had lost face to him. When he spoke, his tone was unavoidable with a hint of indifference and disgust. Su Yunyan has a rigid temperament, which can be said to be dull. Although he has been trying very hard to please Shinmuzhou and hopes that his master will look at him, he has never succeeded. Even though she defeated her senior brother, who was at the 1st level of foundation building with his 8th level of Qi training, Shinmuzhou didn't say a single kind word to her. Because for him, leapfrog challenges have never been difficult. Even if he is not in the separation stage now, he has a record of defeating the integration stage. Now Shinmuzhou's arrogance has been restrained, not deliberately disguised, but truly restrained, as if it has been polished by the years, and like a real sword, he has begun to learn to hide his edge under the scabbard. This kind of Shinmuzhou is a little silly, a little cute, and of course a little stupid. Is this really the Taoist priest Qingming whom she once admired so much? Is this really the Shinmuzhou who became famous at a young age? If the aura of the souls hadn't been exactly the same, Su Yunyan would have thought that Shinmuzhou had been taken over by some master. After all, a person like Shinmuzhou, who is extremely talented and has accomplished a lot of cultivation at a young age, is undoubtedly a good target for old monsters from all walks of life to seize his body. First, because of his qualifications. A good qualification is more important than anything else. After all, people who can cultivate and become old monsters are not the kind of people who are willing to be ordinary. If they want to seize the body and be reborn, they naturally want to rebuild the road and compete with the sky. Second, because of his cultivation. What's more, even if the body seizing is successful, one's own cultivation level will continue to decline, and the body may even collapse because the spiritual consciousness is too strong. A monk in the fusion stage like Shinmuzhou is the best candidate for the body-seizing old monster. Thirdly, because of his age, no matter how experienced the old monster is, if the body taking is taken from a dying person, he will definitely be constrained by fate and die together. At that time, there will be no chance of reincarnation. However, looking at Shinmuzhou's current behavior, Su Yunyan could not connect him with an old monster. Mainly, it's so stupid that I can't bear to look at it. Especially now looking at her dazed look, Su Yunyan suddenly felt that his hands were itchy. Master, it's better to take the medicine first. Su Yunyan called. Ah! After realizing that he was actually distracted in front of Su Yunyan, Shinmuzhou looked embarrassed and said calmly, Yunyan, please go back first. Master will handle it himself. Ahem. Su Yunyan looked him up and down with his eyes. When he was sure that there was really nothing he needed to help with, he held his hands in front of him and said in salute, Yunyan will leave first. Go ahead, don't look at Shinmuzhou's expression and retreat. Her figure disappeared outside the door against the light. Shen Muzhou stretched out his hand, trying to grab something, but finally put it down helplessly. Ahem. He lowered his head and coughed lightly. Only after Su Yunyan left did he feel a severe pain in his inner body. The storage bag on the table caught his eye. Next to the storage bag was a small jade bottle. Without looking, he knew that the storage bag was the one he had just handed to Su Yunyan. He quickly picked up the jade bottle. The 3 words vitality pill on the bottle shone brightly, and his heart suddenly felt soft. Yunyan took out this bottle of elixir specifically. Does this mean that she is still very worried about him as her master? Chapter 3. When Su Yunyan returned to her residence, as soon as she stepped through the door, her cultivation level, which was only the 6th level of Qi training, instantly dropped by another level. Puffed! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and bright blood flowers fell on her white clothes, like plum blossoms blooming in the snow, as beautiful as a painting. She didn't seem to care much. She just wiped the blood on her lips with her sleeve, and the abnormal blush on her face only disappeared briefly. With some staggering steps, I walked to the bed where I used to rest. Because it had been left there for half a year, there was a thick layer of dust on it, and the bedding exuded a strong, musty smell. Su Yunyan opened the quilt, revealing the wooden board inside, and then straightened down, covering his heart and curling up into a ball. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Wave after wave of pain came over her, as if a hand was squeezing her heart. Her vision was a little blurry, but her reason clearly told her that at this time she could never be unconscious, and she could never be unconscious. Once she fell asleep because she couldn't bear the pain, she would never want to wake up again. Gradually, Su Yunyan seemed to get used to this kind of pain, and his whole body no longer trembled as badly as before. But soon, a cold breath emerged from her heart and even penetrated into her meridians, trying to spread throughout her body. Su Yunyan naturally knew what this aura was. But now she didn't dare to make any move and couldn't make any move to stop it. She could only let it rage inside her body. When it passed a place, the original light aura in Su Yunyan's body seemed to have been provoked, and it changed from gentle to violent. Every part of Su Yunyan's body and every inch of his meridians became a place for the two to fight. The sun is shining brightly outside, but inside the house there is a clear distinction between light and darkness. It's like there's a strange line between the two. The meridians in Su Yunyan's body were breaking and repairing, and the skin outside her body was peeling off in large chunks like a snake shedding its skin, revealing the delicate new skin that was still glowing red inside. There was already a pool of dark red blood on the ground. Su Yunyan forced himself to stay awake. He absolutely could not pass out in this kind of pain. Time seemed to pass extremely slowly. To Su Yunyan, every second was like an epoch. In the end, her body was no longer limited to just the broken rebirth of muscles, veins, and skin. Even her bones were turned into powder in the battle between the two forces, and then repaired inch by inch. Even though Su Yunyan was not very clear, the sound of bone reshaping was particularly loud in her ears. As time went by, Su Yunyan's cultivation level also declined bit by bit. For levels of Qi training, 3 levels of Qi training, 2 levels of Qi training, 1 level of Qi training. Finally, after the spiritual energy in her body was exhausted and she became a complete mortal, the pain in Su Yunyan's body eased slightly. Feeling that his dantian was empty, Su Yunyan was not in a hurry. He endured the pain and sat up as if he was confident. He assumed a posture with 5 hearts pointing toward the sky and began to practice. After all, she is a person who has practiced 1 level before. Even if she is now equivalent to retraining from a mortal level, her speed is still very fast. No matter what kind of spiritual energy they were, they rushed into her body. No matter what color they were on the outside, they all turned into silver gray when they submerged in Su Yunyan's veins. The silver gray spiritual energy slowly flowed into her dantian and turned into 2 black and white yin and yang fish, hovering end to end in her dantian. At the same time, black and white spiritual energy flowed out from the two yin and yang fish from time to time and turned into silver gray in the veins. 1 level of Qi training, 2 levels of Qi training, 3 levels of Qi training. For levels of Qi training, Su Yunyan's cultivation level increased rapidly, and it didn't stop until he reached the 9th level of Qi training, where he had established the foundation in 1 step. After Su Yunyan ran the technique in his body for another 2 weeks, he slowly opened his eyes and let out a long breath. She knew that if there was no other way, her cultivation would reach the point where she could build a foundation in 1 step, which was already the final limit. It was getting dark, and she was still wearing the blood-stained white clothes, but she had no clothes to change into. Feeling the surging spiritual power in her body and the spiritual power from the outside world still pouring into her, enriching the yin-yang fish, Su Yunyan felt that she had the confidence to fight the golden elixir. If the yin-yang fish absorbs enough spiritual energy, she will be able to fight even in the nascent soul stage. Even if she stops at 1 step of foundation building, with the ability of the yin-yang fish to absorb spiritual energy, coupled with her own strong physical strength, in the end, it is estimated that the Mahayana stage in this world will not be her opponent. Perhaps only the unpredictable Sanxian can defeat her. But this is not enough. She wants not only strength, but also cultivation. She will always stay at this place of foundation building. Even if her strength is invincible, so what if she can't ascend? She will be trapped in this place forever. I just want to solve my own body problems. Su Yunyan sighed. She knew how difficult this was. Can't be in a hurry, can't be in a hurry. Thinking that during the day today, her cultivation level was still at the 6th level of Qi training, but at night it became a 1-step foundation building. Su Yunyan's consciousness moved slightly, and the yin and yang fish in her body sped up. In an instant, her cultivation level dropped to the 6th level of Qi training again. Although the number of times she saw Shen Muzhou in a year was pitiful, she could not rule out the occasional encounter. To be on the safe side, she had to do this. The night seems to be very good tonight. The bright moonlight shines through the glazed tiles on Su Yunxian's roof, casting a bright light on the room. Su Yunyan didn't feel sleepy and had no intention of practicing anymore. He got out of bed, opened the door, and walked outside. Unlike other winds, because Shen Muzhou didn't like outsiders approaching, Su Yunyan was the only one in Qingming Peak except him. And in order not to arouse his disgust, Su Yunyan lived far away. Her shabby house and Shen Muzhou's Kingminjiwen were almost on opposite sides of Qingming Peak. The night at Qingming Peak is indeed beautiful, except for the faint chirping of cicadas and the sound of the gentle breeze blowing the leaves. The surroundings are quiet. The wind gently picked up Su Yunyan's hair, and she noticed that her hairband had unraveled at some point, and her long hair was hanging casually behind her. She pulled back the hair that was messed up by the wind, and heard a surprised call. "Junior sister Su?" Su Yunyan turned his head slightly in surprise. What he saw was a man as gentle as jade walking towards him. He was dressed in a green shirt and had beautiful eyebrows. Even at night, Su Yunyan could see his clear reflection in his eyes. "Senior brother Qinghuan?" Su Yunyan called, with a slight smile in his tone. A flash of embarrassment flashed across Qinghuan's face, and when he saw Su Yunyan looking at him, he stuttered when he spoke. "Su, junior sister Su, I heard that you were released, so I came here to see you." Su Yunyan glanced at the sky. Come to see her at this time? Qinghuan must have known that he came at the wrong time, so he could only say dryly, "I just heard from my disciple that Taoist Master Qingming brought you back from Sigua Cliff. I wanted to come over to see you, but when I arrived at Qingming Peak, I realized that it was already so late." Moreover, he didn't intend to disturb Su Yunyan. He just wanted to take a look from a distance and know that she had returned from that cold place. "Thank you, senior brother." Su Yunyan responded. "Qinghuan is a direct disciple of the leader, Qing Yuxi. It is said that he is one of the most likely candidates to become the next leader. Now he is only a young man and is already a 4th level monk in the foundation building stage. In the entire Qingke sect, he was one of the few people who showed kindness to her. Junior sister Su. Qing Huan suddenly shouted, and Su Yunyan turned around. What's wrong? Qing Huan suddenly walked towards her quickly, and Su Yunyan stopped where he was, refusing to dodge. Junior sister Su, this is for you. Su Yunyan's hand was heavy, and there was an extra storage bag. Senior brother Qing Huan? Su Yunyan looked at him doubtfully, not understanding the reason for his actions. There are a lot of elixirs suitable for you in it. Don't be reluctant to use it. Come to me when you are done with it. After saying that, he turned his head and said, I remembered that I have something else to do, so I left first. I will come see you in 2 days. Su Yunyan watched his back disappear into the moonlight, clenched the storage bag in his hand, and raised a slight arc at the corner of his mouth. Then he turned around, glanced at a place inadvertently, and walked towards his cabin as if he didn't notice it. When Su Yunyan turned his head, Shen Muzhou subconsciously took 2 steps back. After making sure that Su Yunyan had not noticed him, he stepped forward and watched her gently close the door, but there were already several red marks on his palms. His little disciple is only 15 years old this year, but someone has already caught her attention. Seeing Qing Huan like this, she was obviously moved. As for Su Yunyan's attitude, from Shen Muzhou's perspective, although Su Yunyan was kind to him, he had never been so gentle, let alone others. He had never seen Su Yunyan treat anyone so kindly. In other words, Qing Huan is a relatively special existence to Su Yunyan. Qing Huan, although he is the direct disciple of the sect leader, he is almost 20 years old and only in the foundation stage. He is no better than himself. I really don't know what Su Yunyan likes about him. Master, how long are you going to stand outside? Su Yunyan's voice suddenly sounded, and Shen Muzhou turned around in shock. Perhaps because he moved too quickly, a clearly audible click came from his neck. The first time in history that I was distracted because I turned my head and twisted my neck. No, it was the birth of the monk in the integration period. Shen Muzhou tilted his head and looked at her. Su Yunyan had long hair shawl. Under the hazy moonlight, his plain clothes were dyed with a few red plum blossoms. He looked like a graceful fairy descending from the moon. Yunyan, you are so beautiful. Chapter 4. Master, are you here to offend me? Shen Muzhou saw a flash of smile in Su Yunyan's eyes. It was not his imagination, but a gleam of light really flashed out of these silent eyes at that moment. Master is so complimentary. Master is even more beautiful. Su Yunyan returned without hesitation. Ahem. Shen Muzhou choked on his own saliva and coughed twice, but he twisted his neck again. The expression on his face was ferocious for a moment, but he soon returned to the appearance of a gentle and good master. How could Xiao Yunyan be scared? Su Yunyan discovered for the first time that Shen Muzhou, whom he met again half a year later, had not only become stupider, but also seemed to have become a lot cuter. If he still had the same temper as before, she might not always indulge him now. Thinking of this, her eyes darkened slightly. Shen Muzhou didn't know why Su Yunyan's eyes suddenly became strange, but he just said dryly, Yunyan, you are young now. Don't listen to men's sweet talk. Although Qing Huan is good, she is a bit older after all. Senior brother Qing Huan is less than 20 years old, only 5 years older than me. For some reason, Su Yunyan retorted. In the world of cultivation, if you really want to form a partner, it doesn't matter if you are in the same grade. The difference between them may be 10 years or 100 years, or 1,000 or even 10,000 years apart. It is really difficult to find a couple whose grades are within 5 years of each other. So for Su Yunyan, Qing Huan's grade is really not that big. Shen Muzhou was choked suddenly. But then he still wanted to show his dignity as a teacher and said slightly seriously, you are young now, so you should focus on practicing Taoism instead of being lustful and romantic. When you grow up, you will understand that nothing is more important than cultivation. Su Yun raised the corners of his lips without thinking, nodded perfunctorily, and asked casually, Master's neck doesn't hurt? It was a good thing she did mention it, but when she mentioned it, Shen Muzhou suddenly felt that the entire neck was no longer hers. He said honestly, "It hurts." A pair of slightly upward phoenix eyes even showed a watery color. Is Master's injury healed?
No.
The grievance in his eyes almost overflowed. It hurts. Su Yunyan was slightly surprised and subconsciously asked, "Where does it hurt?" "My whole body hurts." This tone sounded like she was being completely coquettish. Shen Muzhou seemed to realize that the tone of his words was wrong. A blush crept up to his ears silently, but his face was still pale. If his eyes weren't evasive, Su Yunyan wouldn't have been able to tell that he was shy. "Then I'll take Master back," Su Yunyan said. The two of them lived far apart. Not only is it relatively far, it's almost like climbing over mountains and ridges. Shen Muzhou frowned and said with some dissatisfaction, "Can't I live with you?" "Live here with me?" Su Yunyan asked back. Seeing Shen Muzhou's determined gaze, she said hesitantly, "Yunyan's hut is in a dilapidated state. Master may not be used to it." "Humph!" Shen Muzhou snorted coldly, seeming to have returned his previous arrogant look. "I have never lived in any place. Yunyan must not underestimate the master. How can the master be the kind of person who is limited to external things?" When Su Yunyan opened the door, although Shen Muzhou said that he was a person who did not stick to external things, he was inevitably a little surprised in his heart, but more importantly, he felt guilty. Su Yunyan's room was made of bamboo. Although it looked very elegant from the outside, only those who lived there knew that the walls made of bamboo could not prevent the wind at all. There was no big difference between the inside and the outside. There were no tables, chairs, or benches, only a few stones and a wooden board, which served as Su Yunyan's bed. The moldy bedding was wrapped in a ball and thrown on the ground. There were still a few traces of blood on the ground. Only then did Shen Muzhou realize that when he went to pick up Su Yunyan today, she was clearly wearing a pure white disciple's uniform, which had been stained with red plums. He resisted the discomfort in his neck and turned around to look, lifting up the corner of her clothes, which was obviously covered with blood. Her sleeves. He took Su Yunyan's hand, and Su Yunyan let him play with it. Shen Muzhou soon discovered a blood stain with obvious traces of wiping. "Yunyan, you." "It's okay. It's just a blockage of qi and blood." Su Yunyan explained like this, but Shen Muzhou didn't believe it at all. The blood stains on the ground were obviously dark red. Although the blood had dried, the faint black color inside, and Su Yunyan's face that was 3 points paler than when he came out, showed that everything was not that simple. Shen Muzhou suddenly discovered something and took 2 steps forward. "Don't." Before Su Yunyan could stop him, his hand had already touched the wooden bed that Su Yunyan had not yet cleaned. It was covered in blood stains. It's definitely not caused by ordinary qi and blood problems, whose qi and blood are not flowing smoothly, and most of the blood is flowing out. "Yunyan, what's going on?" Shen Muzhou asked in a low voice. Su Yunyan could hear the anger inside.